All right, I want to talk about marriage today, right? Because my wife and I just celebrated our 29th year wedding anniversary. I've been married for 29 years. I dated her for over 4 years. I've known her since I was 15 years old. Right? That means I have a relationship with her for 40 years. And to be honest with you, it's been wonderful. It's been great. And I want to talk about marriage because when I'm giving rides to people on Lyft, and please, especially during this time, pandemic, if you can't go to Walmart or Target, call us, all right? We're still driving. All right? Anyway, when I drive a lot of people, a lot of single people, and I ask them, hey, you're 25, 26, you think about getting married? The majority of people say, of course not. There's some that says, well, I'm looking for the right person, this and that, and we talk about it. But majority of people are afraid of marriage. And then sometimes when I drive people who are married, more than, I wouldn't say majority of them, or more than half, maybe 60, 65% of people have a lot of complaints about marriage. There are people that brag about being married is such a wonderful thing, but a lot of people complain. And I guess that's the problem. When you watch TV, when you listen to people who's been married, there are more negative things about being married than being single. I think that kind of goes against the way we think. I really do. I think we're being manipulated by society not to get married for one reason or the other, right? But I don't want to talk about that today. And I think it's a false information. I think it's fake news. I think everybody knows deep in their hearts that being married is so much better. So much better. I remember just giving a ride right before this pandemic started, when it was just getting started. I was giving a ride to this guy and a couple of women to a party. And the women seemed to be, they said they were in their 20s, mid-20s and stuff. And the guy that I was talking with, we were kind of talking about marriage versus being single. And when I looked at the guy, he looked a little older than 25. So I asked him his age, and he hesitated. I think he got embarrassed to tell me that he was 42 years old. Because then I was gonna ask, "What the hell are you doing?" And I know he was embarrassed because being later in their age, hanging out, living his life as a single person at that age. I mean, to be honest, come on, it is kind of. I really do believe he was embarrassed because I was talking about my marriage and stuff like that too. So there are a lot of advices out there from people, psychologists, friends, who's going to tell you what you should do to make marriage work. All right, because 40 years of my marriage with my wife, to be honest, we have not even argued once yet. I know that sounds very impossible, but I'm here to tell you it is possible, and I want to share with you how I do it. Okay, my wife is as perfect as a woman could be. I have no complaints about her. That's a great, wonderful thing. But being perfect as a wife doesn't mean you know what I'm saying, okay? There are instances of disagreements and stuff, but we don't argue about it. How do I do it? All right, there's only two things. Now, this is not really an advice. All right, I want to tell you that only two things I focus on. One is that I think being married is much, much better. Maybe because I'm a religious person. I believe in God. And the whole Genesis story about Adam and Eve, two becoming one, to me is very romantic. Okay, she's part of me and I'm part of her. She's in me and I am in her. Everything that we do, we support one another because we are one. Right? So in a very selfish way, why should I be mad at her and do something that is harmful to her if she's part of me? In fact, what Bible says is love your spouse like you love yourself. All right? Because she is, part of myself. That seems to be so much better than being single. Right? There's another part of the Bible that says two is better than one. Right? Two bound together is better than one. That is so true. That is so true. Think about this. Every study that's out there says being married is better, psychologically, financially. When it comes to purpose in life, meaning in life, being married is so much, deeper than being single. Right? So I always believed, ever since I was a teenager, that marriage is much, much better than being single. Right? So I mean, by today's standard, I got married when I was 26. So in today's standards, that's early. But when I got married, I think basically I was 2, 3 years too late. All right, and I would have done it at 24, 23, because my relationship with my wife, it's been really good. Now I know there are people that says that marriage is difficult, but being single is difficult. Life is difficult. Right? When it comes to difficulties in life and tribulations in life, I think being married and having a meaningful relationship is better. Right? Now, when it comes to relationship, though, however, I want to really think about one thing. And this idea comes from Romans chapter 7. This is where Paul is describing a life in the Spirit with Jesus Christ, with God. And what he says is that we were once bound to the law, but we have been divorced, like separated from the law. The law has to die. I have died to the law in order to be resurrected to life in Jesus Christ. And what he says is, look, when you're married, if you're married and then you have an affair, that is committing adultery. But if you're no longer married because your spouse is dead, then you're able to have another relationship, right? You are free from that marriage so that you could have a relationship. Right? That's what Paul is saying. That's the analogy he's giving. You die to the law, you have another relationship with God through the Spirit of God. Now, when I read that in my 20s, early 20s, the thought that came to me was, can a married man live his life as if he was single? Because if you're bound to marriage, you shouldn't be going out having other relationships, right? Because it really destroys the marriage. Can a married man live his life as if he was single? Now, of course, the answer could be, of course, yes. And there are a lot of people who are married have made mistakes like that because they want to be single. Because sometimes when you're married, you think being single is so free and all that. By the way, I never thought about that. I think being married is freedom, right? Because you're more focused. You have a goal, all right? Much clearer goal, I guess you could say. Anyways, can a married man live his life as if he's single? When people actually do make mistakes by living his life or her life as a single person, yeah, I guess you could do it. But if you get caught, then you're in big trouble, right? Big trouble. It affects the whole family, your spouse, your children, your in-laws, your friendships, to everything. It affects it in a very, very, very negative way. And that experience is not good, especially I think to a man. Study shows that our manhood, okay, the confidence as a man goes down quite a bit because it feels like we have failed in something that was very important. So it's not good at all. So can a married man live his life as if he's single? Of course, in my mindset, it's always been no. All right, no. So, I mean, that's really only thing that I really think about. I know there are a lot of advices out there that says, in order to make a relationship, you have to commit to one another, you have to sacrifice, you have to compromise. I don't like those words. If anybody were to ask me, hey, do you have any advice or I'm having struggles in my relationship and I want to focus on these things, I don't think like that. Because as Paul says, we have died to the law, we have been resurrected in the Spirit of God. So instead of going with what we must sacrifice, what must we compromise, or what must we be committed to, and coming out with a list or rituals that we do together, instead of focusing on that, I want to focus on love, hope, and faith. And just thinking it is better to be married, and I cannot live my life as a single person. I have to live my life as a married man. Right? That's it. That's all I think about. Right? And that freedom that I have in marriage, I'm here to serve my wife. And what the scripture says is love her, put her on a pedestal. And that's the only thing that I really focus upon. Are there disagreements in relationships? Definitely. Are there going to be a time when you clash in certain things? Definitely. But it's my wife. And I want the marriage to be as smooth and wonderful as possible. So that when I come home from work or when she comes home from work, that we greet each other, we hug one another, we kiss, and there's food, we eat together, we raise children together. And when they come home, you know, we hug and talk about anything, God, relationships, to whatever. It's just so meaningful, you know. Being married is just a wonderful, awesome thing that we need to really, I guess, receive the love from God and to be able to love. So I just want to say then, the thing that I focus on is not the details of things that I need to do. I don't make a list. It's like the worst thing is to make a list. It's not, there's no rules, there's no law, there's no compromise, there's no sacrifice. It's just, it is better to be married, right? And I cannot live like a single person. And if my mind goes that way, fight it off. I'm a married man and I want to put my wife on a pedestal. That's it. That is it. Right? And to show my love, my hope and faith with her, that's the only thing that really guides me in my relationship with my wife. So in that way, yeah, I don't have to argue with her. Do I disagree with her in certain things? Would I, you know, and I know for a fact that my wife, when she sees me talk or do certain things, she shakes her head. I do the same with her. But what is there to point out? That we're imperfect? We want to control one another? We don't want that. Right? Because once you start controlling another person, that's when things go sour anyways, right? So we just want to have faith and hope all things are going to work out fine, and to show the love we have for one another, to show the love I have for her. I'm sure I'm not perfect at it, all right? But remembering the fact that I cannot live like a single man, and that marriage is so much better than being single, has really tremendously helped the relationship. Right? I guess I wanted to make this video just to say, being married is really good, especially at the time of pandemic going on in the world. Being able to spend some, quality time together. We're forced to be home a lot more because all our work is closed. No one is really working in my family right now. So therefore, and even then, a love for one another is still growing. It's fun, actually. Marriage is better in every way, psychologically, physically, financially, in every way. Every study shows being married is better, and actually people live longer. Being married is better, and just have to remind myself that I cannot live like a single man. Get free from that thought. Be free from that temptation of being single and married, and have a wonderful relationship. Faith, hope, and love. All right. Anyway, just want to share that with you. Hope yours is great. And if you're married, I pray that love, faith, and hope, not the rules, will guide you in your relationship and have a wonderful marriage. Right? Because I think great marriage solves majority of the problems that's going on in the world today. It will. All right? It would. All right? Well, God bless you. And hopefully this economy and stuff will open soon, and we'll get back to work and continue to enjoy the life God has given us. Continue to live a life that is worthy of His name. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.